Recording. So I wanted to recap some of the things that we talked about last week. I don't have everything on the table that I did from last week, but a lot of the same things. So ring blank, right? So you're going to figure out your measurements and cut down to size, either with your hand saw, your jeweler saw with the spiral blade, or on the bandsaw. But I know it's been a few days, so if you forgot how to use the bandsaw, or you're a little skittish about it, and you're like, I want a one-on-one, please let me know that, because I'd rather you come to me and ask me to show you how to use it again, rather than just winging it with any kind of power tool. So figuring out sizes, cutting down your ring blank. Remember that you also have the block waxes, either super thick or on the skinnier side, to do kind of additive processes. The sprue wax as well, which you can use. And Lisa, I'm wondering, is it okay if I show what you've done so far, just in terms of using the sprue wax as more than just sprues, using it as a way of building, right? So using the sprue wax to create the band. So she's got 3 sprues welded together, and so just, you know, a way to show you that you don't absolutely have to start with the ring blank, but this is a convenient way to start. But you can kind of build it from scratch as well. And so the sprues can be other things that you...
It was hard to keep it round while I was working on it, so I ended up getting that thing out to let it rest on.
Yeah. So if you look up videos of how people are working with the wax, sometimes you'll see that they'll tape off the mandrel, like at the right location, and work with the wax directly on the mandrel.
So they don't stretch it down by mistake.
So that's a possibility too. We have the ring mandrel shaver, so that you can shape and size the inside diameter. And Andrea, I think this is the thing that you were talking about, right?
Mandrel shaver?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is good.
So it just ever so slowly increases the diameter opening of the ring blank. And I was talking to you about saving all of your shavings, so you'll see that there's a little bucket here. There's another one right behind Yang in the basket. But you can grab containers from the shelving unit and just save the wax, because it's something that we can melt down and reshape. Ring clamp might come in handy, right? Just as you're working on it, so that you, especially if you're using a power tool to carve down the ring blank, you don't want to get that close to your fingertips, because it can not feel good if you accidentally shave your fingers. I'm going to show you officially how to set up the Fordham tool. I know a lot of you have already used this, but I don't think I've given a demo for everyone to see how it is used. I have a brand new tool. This was not cheap. I think, Lisa, you seem to have, do you have an electric carver over there? Is that what you have as well?
Yeah, I've had it for a while.
Okay.
It's a dental tool.
Yes.
And it's got like, I think I lost one of the blades. I thought I had more, but it's got like, so I can do 2 different things at once. It's like I have one that's a little kind of scoop bowl, and then one that's more of a blade.
Okay, so this is from Fordham, the same company that makes a lot of the flexible shaft machines. And this is, like I said, it's brand new. I haven't used it yet, so I'm gonna play around with this. But I think it's like $100 for this. So it's a wax carver. So that's a new bag of tricks. And then what I neglected to share with you all is that if you do buy your own flex shaft machine, you probably, and you get it from Fordham, it may come with a kit like this that has a bunch of different bits that you can use in this process. They are really geared towards jewelry, so anything from like polishing compound to a baby wire brush bit. These are really, really handy for cleaning up the metal. I'll pass them around so that you can see them up close.
Use these on wax?
Some of them I'm going to use one of them on wax and I'll show you, but some of them are better used, they're more appropriate for the finished metal product. So the thing that I find I use in so many different applications, like you can clearly see someone was sanding plaster with this one, are these little sanding drums, and they come in 3 different diameters. This is the medium, and then this is the large, and then I'll just pass around the small sanding sleeve. But those, you can buy those, like 50 of them, 50 different sanding sleeves with the bits on Amazon for like $5 or $7. So I highly recommend getting some of those.
And I was gonna say, a lot of that stuff you can get, Dremel tools for, like the bits at, Home Depot.
Yes.
If you wanna see it instead of trying to figure out like what you want on the, other websites. And
Yeah.
then you can see if you can find a cheaper version on Amazon if you're going through them a lot, like those little drums.
And
Yeah.
Harbor Freight is really useful.
Yes, Andrea?
I'm sorry, I missed what that comes with. Does that come with the wax carver?
No, this is with, like if
And
you
it
were to
doesn't
buy your
always-
own flex
Those
shaft.
are- those are-
Michelle just bought one, it was
$330?
$330.
And it didn't come with that.
It didn't come with this, okay.
And I already broke it. I'm gonna have to replace it. I'll show you. I was using it. It really.
You're proving me wrong when I say that the
No, it
Fordhams
was
are
user
pretty
error.
indestructible.
It was user error for sure, and it's just
Something
the
like
metal.
that.
I can show you.
Okay.
I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna show you.
So a couple of other things that come in the kit. There is, they just look like these little puff balls, but these are fantastic for, some of you who I say, like, you need to spend a little bit more time with your rivet project to really, really make it feel finished. Like, you could use one of these. The gray one has kind of a rough feeling, and that will actually remove material. It'll be comparable to the steel wool, but just, on a power tool. And then the cotton puffy one, this is something like for finishing. You would put this into the flex shaft and you would touch it to a little bit of polishing compound and then take it to your metal, and it will make it really smooth and shiny and pretty, right? So those are others to check out. So,
Do you wanna tell us how you changed the sleeves on there?
yes, I'm going to. So there are other bits in here, like some of them have more of a stony surface. That would not be for wax, that would be for metal. So if you're unsure about what bit you use on what material, just check in with me. But this lives there, and then even in the lab, we have, there's like a circular caddy with more of these bits in it. So you're welcome to use those.
Could we go, while we do this project or when we finish the project, can we use these puff balls if needed for our first project?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Soldering iron, I showed you that last week. Some of the Dremel bits that are okay on wax. If it does not say okay on wax, please don't use it on wax. And so the new things that are on the table, aside from the wax carver, I have this plaster bat up here, and I wanted to show you how that might be a way to work with the wax. So I'll show you that in just a moment. And then the setup for the Fordham is the other thing that I really want to do with you today. So Lisa asked a very leading question. She's trying to keep me on track. How do you change out, because I don't want to use a sanding drum that has plaster impregnated into it and then use that on wax, right? I don't want to contaminate my materials. So if you look at the very tip top of the sanding drum, there's a screw in here. And so in order to remove or change out the sanding drums, you need to loosen the screw, and then you should be able to slide the sanding drum off. Unless it doesn't feel gritty anymore, don't throw them away. We can keep using them until they're spent. And then with the screw still loose, you're going to slide the new sanding drum on, and then you're going to use the screwdriver again and tighten the screw. And what that does is it presses this metal washer down, and it makes the rubber drum expand. And that's what holds it in place. This is a Phillips head screw, but I don't have a Phillips screwdriver that is so teeny tiny. This is kind of like the size screwdriver that you would get with like to repair your glasses. Exactly.
They usually have the Dremel bit kit comes with a little like wrench and that
It's-
little thing that you're like, why would I have this?
It's
like a
long
fork?
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you a lot of times if you buy another like kit or refills, they come with them still.
Right. Okay, so setting up the Fordham is the brand, but sometimes, like when I say Fordham, what I'm referencing is the official name, the generic name is a flexible shaft rotary tool. Okay, so it's like a Dremel, but instead of the motor being in the part that you hold with your hand, the motor is external. And it allows it to be more powerful. It doesn't burn out as much. So I don't know if anyone's ever owned a Dremel. Like when I owned a Dremel tool, I used it a lot, and I killed the motor, like, you know, in less than a year, right? Just because it's not very powerful. So the way to use the flex shaft is you need something to hang the motor on. So MC's fabricated these little hanging devices for us. They all live on the outside of the cabinet over there. There's a C-clamp. You attach the C-clamp to your table. You slide the hanger into the little shaft that he welded onto the side. And then you're going to take the flex shaft tool and hang it on there. And you'll notice one end, this should look kind of familiar in terms of if you have had a Dremel or used a drill, it's the same setup, right? There's the chuck opening, so there are those 3 teeth that when you use a tool to open and close it, it will release the tool bit or secure it, okay? The other end is a plug. You could plug this in directly to power, and then there's a switch here for forward or reverse, and you can turn it on that way. But that's just one speed, okay? If you want variable speed, then you're going to plug into the foot pedal. So the plug to the motor goes into the plug for the foot pedal, and then the pedal plug is what goes into your power source. Thank you. Young, can I have you, I forgot to get the little chuck key that opens and closes this. It you hand me
Saw
one?
the door release.
I think it's in the door right above Patrick's head. See the little orange basket with the black? Yeah, thank you. And there are a couple of different sizes of these keys. So if you stick the little knob into the hole and the teeth don't line up, then you know you've got the wrong size. So fish around, hunt around for another one, but this one does work. So I open up the 3 prongs enough so that I can slide the bit in, and then I tighten it. You don't have to go crazy with the tightening, but just so that when I grab on it, it doesn't move. Okay. This is an occasion where maybe I want to use the ring clamp so that I'm not getting the sanding drum near my fingers. Haha, except that this is too wide. So note to you all that if you have a very wide ring, which this is ridiculous, maybe someone will wear a ring that wide, but that's exaggerated. So
I feel like I should get a big jade on it.
okay, so my wax is secure in here. Again, just with any other tool, like before you use it, I think it's a good idea to turn it on and turn it off and listen to it, feel it. Might help if I turn that part on. No, you're good, you're good. Okay, so that's full speed, but I can control it just like the pedal of your car, right? The gas pedal of your car. So I'm just stepping on the pedal and it will adjust the speed. So, how am I using this? The same way that I might be using the belt sander on the other side of the room, but I can be a little bit more specific. And I'm just rounding everything off. I don't have a specific agenda here. This could be another way to even open up the center, right? Oh, this one's a little bit too big, but if I swap this out,
Ring it out to the right size first, or do you leave it thicker and do that last?
I would size the ring first, because my fear is that, if you, depending on what design you have for the top of your ring, you don't want to take it down too low and then get too close to the ring opening, if that makes sense. Yeah, Lena.
This is like, not to say off topic, but like in regards to the ring and with the melter, would it be fine if we like, I guess, made a separate small piece and just use the welder to put it onto the ring shape?
Yeah, and I'm gonna demo a little bit of that today too. So working additively and reductively. You get the idea. I'm not finding the right bits, but you could potentially use the sanding drum to go inside. That's less control than if you use the shaper, though. Just know that, okay? So I'll pass this around. You can see what I removed. This is still fairly textured, so then I would say if you want a smooth surface, you're not done yet, then you would take a higher grit sandpaper or something to continue working the surface of the wax to bring it up to the texture that you want. okay? So let's just say I wanted to then try out a different bit, and I'm using the Wax is Okay bits.
Mitra, because I'm so stuck on like how much it's gonna shrink because of clay, can you just calm my head down and tell me it doesn't shrink at all? Like I size it and that's the size of the ring, right?
The truth is that when you're casting anything, there is some shrinkage that happens. But I have found that with all of the metalsmithing castings that we've done, it's so minute.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit last week about, if you get your ring cast and you realize like, oh, it's a little too snug, not a huge deal. You can just, again, use the sanding drum and then work the inside of the silver, right? And open it up. So, or conversely, if it's too big, you can cut into the metal, take a tiny sliver out, and resolder it.
Or you can put,
closed.
I've seen people put like little beads on the inside, although I don't like those.
Yeah, there are other ways. There's kind of like that little bridge that you can do. There are all kinds of ways to resize things.
And would you recommend resizing your rings at home like that if you could?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't, like, my wedding ring
No.
has some cracks in it, and I was thinking like, oh, I might be able to resize it, but I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna take it to the
Not
jeweler
that, but
for
like,
that.
other stuff that's a little heftier.
Okay, so I changed out the bit, right? So the same idea if I wanted to start carving with this, you can see that this is gonna be faster than the hand carving tools, but less control, right? So I would say try this out on, like, if you cut your big block before you really start shaping it, try out these tools just to see if you like them better than the hand carving, okay? Yes, Riley?
Would whittling it work?
Whittling?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last week we talked a lot about just, all of the hand carving tools that I have available to you, but also an X-Acto knife. Like, you can get a lot done with just an X-Acto knife.
When you were talking about sanding, is there any benefit to like just maybe heating up a piece of metal or something like ever so slightly to smooth it out?
For smoothing,
Or is that like you risk melting everything?
no, I think the best ways to smooth the wax are either using your propane tank, starting it up, and then, how like kids would play around with candles and like you put your finger through the candle flame and like, it didn't burn me, you can kind of do the same thing with the wax just by passing it in front of the flame very quickly. Again, something to practice before you're like, I'm finally done carving, let me just, it's melted, right? So practice that before you try it. The other thing that we talked about is using baby oil and pantyhose.
Oh, okay.
And you just kind of wrap the pantyhose around your finger, wet it with baby oil, and then just kind of burnish the surface. And that is like a very, very fine way of sanding and smoothing the surface of the wax.
Mitra,
Yes.
what if we don't have any pantyhose at home?
You can go buy some.
Yeah,
They do still sell them. No, I have a fair
It's a little
amount.
weird for me to go out and buy pantyhose,
Absolutely.
alright?
I don't think so.
No, you got-
I
you
think
got-
you're thinking in a 1950s
Okay.
mindset.
Got a hair tie for you. Look, it's kind of panty. My
Okay.
hair ties.
Thanks.
Quick question for me? Oh, my jacket. Thank you. Fine.
worry.
Can you bring it up here for me? Thanks. So there was this ridiculous.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. It's okay. How are you?
How with you?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you always. Yeah, thank you.
I won.
You want Patagucci? Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's
Not
Barbie on it?
even.
That's cool.
This was. 10,
Hopefully it looks warm.
25. Yeah, they were giving away the Patagonia puffer jackets.
Have a nice day.
But
Thank you.
you too.
Thank you.
But I have to.
Try it on.
Yeah, you can over the record,
Try it.
you just kind of gently take it off.
Oh, the whole thing will come on.
It got, yeah, because I have some tech stuff for that, and I have patches to put
Can you
on.
tell I was never a cheerleader in high school?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I mean, I liked the logo stuff when I was there, but then I don't mind looking boys.
Okay. So just any questions so far on any of the tools that I'm showing you? Yes.
The forward and backwards on the forward is the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's forward and backwards. So right now I have it on forward, and that means that I can pull the tool towards me, which is how I prefer to work the tool because I can actually see what's being removed. If in the other direction, you'd be pushing it
Does it
away.
have an F and an R? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
It just shows you off, forward is to the left, reverse is to the right.
Just used it.
Yeah, it is. No, it's a good thing to pay attention to because it really
Speed
will
it
help
first.
determine how you feel most comfortable. You know, gives you greater sense of control. Okay, so I last week on this ring blank, I kind of cut out a little chunk and then I used the Max Wax welder to weld it back into place. I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm going to do it this time with sprues. So let's say, I think someone was talking about like braiding wax or something. That's gonna take too long. I don't want you to be here all day. So I'm just gonna take 3 of these little sprues and twist them together. And then you could kind of, I mean, this can get as sculptural as you want, so hopefully you see the logic in working with the sprues to do this instead of trying to carve this out, because you'd be here for a very long time. And then using the wax welder.
So do you wanna touch the wax or do you wanna just get super
No,
close to
I
it?
am making contact.
Okay.
I should see what this is recording here, so maybe I'll just move this in a little closer. And I'll just show you on the screen what I'm doing. So I'm barely touching. I'm pressing the button. You see that the waxer, it glows, right? So that's what you want. And you just barely touch and it melts the wax and secures it to itself, basically. Okay, so now that's on there. So that's an example of working in an additive way. So I'll pass this around for you to look at. The other way that you can work is, we talked about using found objects and pressing them into clay, which I can do, and then melting wax into that cavity, which I can definitely show you. But I also want to show you another way where you can kind of create things, elements, and then weld them back on using plaster, which sounds a little bit weird, but I think today, Lisa, you might be the only person in here who took a metal sculpture class with me before. So using this will actually gear us up for our bronze project. You're going to be using these plaster molds a lot, and so get to know it now.
That's potter's plaster, not plaster of Paris?
It's casting plaster, #1 pottery plaster.
Got it,
Okay, so you can, I'm gonna heat wax up, drip it onto the plaster bat, and create just like an organic little drippy design, right? But in order to be able to then release my wax from the plaster, I need to wet it. And for the next project, you all will be casting sheets of the brown microcrystalline wax. And so you'll be going through this exact same process of wetting the plaster.
When you said the brown microcrystalline, is the other stuff microcrystalline? Or is that,
The jewelry wax?
yeah,
I'm not sure.
but you can mix the two, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, any wax really can be used in this process of jewelry making lost wax. I mean, you could use candle wax if you wanted to. That's very, very brittle and not user friendly.
Can you use hardy board instead of plaster, or is plaster recommended?
What kind of board?
Like the hardy back board,
The stuff at Home
Yeah.
Depot.
Like
Mm-hmm.
drywall? It's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't have drywall, it's basically what I use sometimes instead of a bath to reclaim clay. It
Oh.
functions very similarly, but it's not perfectly
No.
smooth, which is fine, like if you got to.
Yeah, this isn't about smooth. This is about using a material that will absorb the water, and we can cast wax into it, and then water is our release.
So it functions that way on clay as well.
Okay,
I think
then
it
yeah,
might work.
maybe.
Find out.
I
It's
think
much lighter.
it's yes. I mean, to make one of these at home, you know, it's heavy. It is plaster. So the process is to completely soak the mold. So we're just gonna let this absorb for a little bit, and let's see, what else can I show you in the meantime?
If
don't
you
know.
wanted to show us
Questions?
What would happen if you Fordham stopped working because you broke the metal spring in it?
Say that again.
I broke my Fordham, I told you.
Oh.
So the spring from the motor to the actual tool, that's what
That you want to talk to MC about.
So
I
yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him to get a replace that.
I have not had to fix a Fordham.
So say you're using the big sheet wax.
Yeah.
And you want to narrow it out. How would you use heat to narrow it? Would you cut it? What would,
I
because
would
it's
I
very-
would just use an X-Acto knife to cut the shapes out of the very thin stuff, which I do not have on the table currently. But Cindy is referencing the wax that is
thin sheet, very-
it's like as thin as a greeting card, maybe a little bit thicker. Yeah, scissors or an X-Acto knife. So the one thing about using heat to shape the wax is that the heat will make it kind of shrink a little bit. Like it, you know, if when I use the soldering iron on this, it can shape the wax pretty quickly, but it's not so specific. And so it's maybe a good way to rough things.
Yeah, I just
but-
noticed that one melts really.
Yeah, that one melts so
Really
quickly
fresh.
that I would say work it cold rather than hot.
And this connects to the question that when we put our wax model inside, it evaporates. So whenever possibly we are heating our wax model, not only it's melting but possibly evaporating also.
No, it's not evaporating. It is simply melting. This is only, you know, I don't know how hot this gets, but when we're burning out the wax in the kiln, I'm taking it up to 1200 degrees. This is nowhere close to 1200. You can smell it, right? So that's something to kind of keep me in the loop about. So the smell from the melting wax, it's considered an irritant, not a hazard. But if it's something that starts to give you a headache, let me know. I can open up the doors. But otherwise, with having the air on, it's an annoying noise, but it should be enough to kind of remove the fumes. Okay, so this has been soaking for a little bit here, and what I just want to do before I melt any wax in here is just remove any standing water, because molten wax and water can be a dangerous combination. Meaning that if you've ever put hot oil or oil in a really hot pan, you know how it can like spit back at you. The same thing can happen with wax into water. So you wouldn't want to drop molten wax into a bucket of water and like be standing over it without any protection.
It's smoking. Is that supposed to be normal?
The smoking, yeah, it just
It's burning the wax off.
it's burning the wax off, basically. Okay, so now I have this saturated vat. I'm gonna just use some of my wax junk from my scrap bucket, and I'm going to use the soldering iron and just start dripping wax onto the plaster. To create like a little raised bead, if you will. Nothing crazy.
Can you get kind of crazy? Is that the tool to do that with, possibly?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then we just let the wax cool, and it'll go from shiny to matte, right? And then as soon as it looks cool enough, I'm just gonna do a little bit more water on top, and boom, it releases, right? So now I can take this. It's gonna be the ugliest ring in the world.
Do you
But-
actually like make rings out of the ones used for demos, or do you just recycle the wax?
Do I actually make rings? I mean, I did make a really hideous ring. Like when I first started teaching this stuff, it was like, I call it the Flintstones ring, because it's just really chunky and crudely carved.
That's not the one you showed us last time, though.
No. I have it though, I'll show it to you. Okay, so this is loose now, right? So now I'll come over to the camera again to show you how this gets welded back on. So I'm holding it in place, and I'm just touching the welder. And I'm trying to blend the two waxes. Can I let go yet? Yes, I can. So if anyone's ever taken ceramics, right? And if you've like attached a handle to a mug, sometimes you roll out a little baby coil and blend the two together. That's essentially what you're trying to do when you are using the wax welder. You're joining the two waxes together.
Are you worried about air bubbles or a complete? Okay. So
Nope.
it's just-
No, not at all. And it may not be the most beautiful seam, especially if you're just getting to know your wax pen. But you can clean it up later when you cold work it. Chisel, like a baby carving tool.
prefer if you're attaching two larger pieces of like wax together, actually like use a spruce as a coil.
Sure.
Like you would in ceramics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So a word about the soldering irons, if you're going to be using them, you may not plug in a soldering iron and walk away and go take, bathroom break, right? Unplug it. In the cabinet behind Young, there's, depending on the type of soldering iron you're using, if it doesn't float like this, there are little props that you can put it on. Obviously you don't want any like paper super close by, right? Because it could, although you can lay paper down on the table as long as you prop up the soldering iron to catch all of your drips. That's something that we do habitually. Yes, Justin.
Do you have to do the drips on the plaster, or can you do it directly on the ring?
You can do it directly on the ring, as if you feel confident in controlling that. The benefit to doing it on the plaster bat is just so that like if you mess up, you can just kind of start over and it's not actually on the ring. Yes, Rita.
So sometimes the bead that we make for the ring to attach could be small because your knee rings are very small. So for us to hold it in right position, could we use something other than our finger while we are using the wax welder?
I mean, you can put it back in the ring clamp. If,
Pliers or tweezers.
yeah, pliers, tweezers, these are nice just because this is padded, so it's not going to leave an indentation in your wax.
Yeah. The thing is that one hand is holding the ring and the same hand has to also hold the bead for our other hand to use a wax welder. So I don't know how clamp or tweezer could be.
If you took the bead and just dabbed it on the wax threader, it could serve as like the first like, and then you just hold it that upright, and then you're doing the seam around it. So almost like, oh, you're not clamping it down.
The other thing that you can use in the tweezer box down there, so this is called a jeweler's hand, and and these are cross lock tweezers, right? So you squeeze it together to open, and you could do something like that, right? So you can then drip as much wax on there and not worry about hurting yourself, okay? Okay, I think that's all I plan to show you. I'm gonna play around with the wax carver, and then when I feel a little more confident in what it does, I can call you back and show you. But I hope that that's enough to kind of get you started, and then I'll be around to help you one-on-one.